Okay, everybody. Okay, here we are. We got Trenny and C minus C. No C today. No Clementine, but I'm Trenny from the Trenny and C whiskey channel, whiskey page, whiskey reviews. And tonight we are hanging out with Rob from Whiskey in the Six. And it's our inaugural live broadcast, and we're pretty excited about it. So this is kind of like a test run of sorts. But tonight we have a big announcement to make, and we'll get to that. But I don't know if you noticed the bottle we have on the table here. That's a pretty good hint, I would say. So I'm gonna switch this over to Rob. His channel is growing like wildfire. It's taken off, which is awesome, and it's nice to see another fellow Canadian doing well in the YouTube world. So I think, Rob, why don't you introduce yourself and your channel and what you do and what makes you kind of unique and different?
Hey everyone, I'm Rob from Whiskey in the Six. I'm from Toronto. Six is a nickname of Toronto, for those of you that don't know. Started my channel probably literally a month and a half before Trenny and C. So about almost 2.5 years now. I do whiskey reviews. I go live every Tuesday. If you're familiar with Trenny and C, then you probably know that he was on my channel. What was it, 2 weeks now? 2 weeks ago or something like that.
Something like that, somewhere in there.
Yeah, and basically just review whiskey to help buyers out all over the world. Hopefully they can find a good deal, and hopefully I can find some good whiskey along the way as well. And we're doing what? We're doing a whole bunch of Wisers tonight, but specifically the Wisers Triple Barrel Rye, the newest addition to the family. That's it there. I think it's on your desk as well.
Yeah, exactly. We got this one. It's a pretty new product. Wisers puts out some fantastic stuff. So people that are hesitant to get into the Canadian whiskey, you can start and end with Wisers. They put out some awesome stuff.
Absolutely. I totally agree. Recently, they released the Northern Border Collection. There was the Lot 40 12-year-old cask strength, which I think stole the show because it was absolutely amazing. There was the Gooderham Ward 17-year-old Trinity, the Pike Creek 21-year-old, which was aged or finished in Speyside barrels. And then there was the JP Wiser's 35-year-old, which was bottled at 50%, which I think is pretty cool as well.
Absolutely. So because I'm the total virgin of the live chat and stuff, I'm trying to read at the same time, and
go to your home page. I think that was the mistake we made. Go to your home page and then go to So if you're on,
I'm getting it. I'm trying to read some of these things, and one of them says, "Why doesn't C ever go live?" From Go Habs, and it's because here in British Columbia we are still on dial-up connection, and where he is the worst. He called recently to upgrade his internet, and they told him he had Internet 6 or something like that, and I have 150 now, which is huge. So I don't even know what Internet 6 is. I've never heard of that before. Yeah, well, anyway, so again, these Wisers products, what we are doing at Trenny and C, I'm going to announce this right away. Why not? Saturday, April 14th, we have Dr. Don, the master blender from Wisers. We're going to do a live stream with him and his crew. We're going to talk everything Wisers. We're going to talk, Corby's is kind of the main branch there. And they have, Lot 40. They have Pike Creek. They have Gooderham and Warts and Wisers. And so all of those put out some awesome stuff.
Absolutely.
So, so if you guys join, it'll be well worth it. And the big thing that we want to ask you to do is tell us some questions you might have for Dr. Don Livermore. And if you do, just send us personal emails or at our live chat.
Trenny, I think you're cutting out a little bit, brother. Hello? You still there?
Oh, no. Oh, it's saying connecting difficulties or whatever. Man,
Yeah.
maybe I'm running too many supercomputers at once.
Maybe you might, if you're running anything, but you know what, you might as well just, I can read you the questions if anybody's got some questions. So if you missed it, I don't know if you want to repeat that. I think they might have missed it because I missed it on my end. Just about the asking Livermore questions, they can ask.
Okay.
Yeah, it's. I think it's frozen on your end. You still there?
Yeah, you're cutting out. Yeah.
All right. So, can you hear me
Hey.
well? I'm wondering in the chat if they can hear me.
Well, can anyone out there hear us? At least. I'm getting some max headroom kind of comments here.
Yeah.
So I don't know if
Okay,
you guys
so
heard
they're saying that I'm loud and clear, but they're having a little bit of trouble, and you're breaking up every once in a while. I think it should be okay now. I can hear you pretty clearly now, so let's hope it stays that way.
I hope so. I don't know. Oh, there it goes again. I think probably, but okay, cool. Yeah. So basically, the announcement is that we're gonna hang out with Dr. Don, and if you guys have any questions that you want to ask, let us know.
Yeah.
And Rob, as I kind of was trying to say, is this is our first time trying the triple barrel rye, correct?
Yeah, I just picked this up today, actually, the triple barrel rye. So I'm excited about it. I tried a little bit earlier on just so I knew what I was talking about.
Yeah. Well, I tried it for the first time today too. I did like a little solo unboxing, and first impressions are definitely really, really, really good. And I like that their percentage of rye is going higher again, because some of their expressions, like the Weiser's 18-year-old, where it's 100% corn. For me, it's not my thing. I don't like that real corn syrupy kind of flavor, but I like a little bit of spice and a little bit of depth, and this triple barrel seems to have it.
Yeah. So we were talking about it before we went on. This has a combination of 75% corn, 24%. Well, it's basically 25% rye and 75% corn, but the process is different for 24% of the rye, and 1% of the rye is, I believe, pot still or something like that. I can't remember exactly what we said. I think I sent you the message. And then it's 3 types of barrels. So Canadian whiskey barrels, virgin oak barrels, and ex-bourbon barrels.
Yeah, correct. So that adds some definite depth and flavor to this one.
Absolutely.
I'm wondering what the age statement, doesn't have an age statement, but how long this one's been in each of these barrels, because it definitely has some smoke and some. Now that it's sat in my glass for a little bit longer, it's a little bit smoky, a little bit tar-like, and actually, I get this kind of odd, almost like that Corona kind of marijuana smell off of the nose.
Oh yeah, yeah, I can see what you're saying. I think that's probably coming from the virgin oak. I don't think it's a charred oak. It's like between a toast and a char. So
yeah,
that might be what it is.
Yeah, which a lot of the time leads to some of those sugars leaking out.
Mm-hmm.
It's got a very interesting nose.
Yeah, and super sweet for. I think the research that I did and like I asked a couple of the guys closest to Weiser's, between 5 and 7 years old is what I was told for this one. So between 5 and 7 years old, you're paying about $30 in Ontario. I'm not sure what it was in BC, but I think that's a pretty good deal. 43.4%. Definitely a sippable whiskey at that price.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of these Canadian whiskeys do have, like you kind of say, a little bit of a sweeter nose and flavor to it. But boosting up that alcohol percentage makes this one kind of all the more sippable, because some Canadian whiskeys they're designed as mixers. Where this one, I think Canadian whiskeys are really starting to take on what the rest of the world is doing with, like, in Scotland and Ireland and the States, where you can actually sip on a good dram of Canadian whiskey, and it being bottled at 43%. That's fantastic stuff.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And like what I find really exciting about what's happening with Canadian whiskey now is the whole Northern Border collection is going to be re-released every year, but it's not going to be released exactly the same every year. So this year coming, the JP Weiser's 35-year-old is actually going to be cask strength, as opposed to the 50% that it was bottled at last year. And the Lot 40 has changed, the Gooderham's changed, and the Pike Creek has changed. So every year we can expect something surprising and different from what's coming out with the Northern Border collection.
Yeah, absolutely. And some of the whiskey fests that we've been going to with, like, the cask Gooderham, and some different ones that are coming out, they're all really, really fantastic. And even the base release.
I think I lost you there for a sec, but you still there?
Oh, I'm getting the interference thing again.
Yeah. For whatever reason, I feel like aliens are hovering over your house, and every once in a while they're trying to hack into what you're saying, because your true identities have not been fully revealed. I know that we know C's real name is Clementine, but I don't know. I think they really want to know your true identity. That's what it is.
It's never going to happen. It's right here. It's right here. Not to be confused with, there's another YouTube video out there right now. It's called, like, Mr. C Gets Caught with a Tranny, which is, don't confuse us with that video. But I think it was, who was it? Whiskey Whistle said they want to see a better close-up of the bottle. So, Rob, why don't you show it, since your video is a little bit better quality?
All right, so that's the bottle right there. I don't know if this is available anywhere else other than Ontario. Oh, actually, I do know it is, because I'm talking to a guy in BC right now.
Exactly, but it's a new release here. It just came out, so.
Yeah, so and it's new as well here. Probably not available in the U.S., I would assume, but I could be wrong about that as well. It recently won a bunch of Canadian whiskey awards at the World Whiskey World Whiskey Awards show, or whatever it's called, in London. I thought that was pretty cool. The only thing about these Canadian whiskey awards, or these whiskey awards in general, is that there's like 1,000 categories for each country. Like, so you can win a gold medal. Every Canadian whiskey can win a gold medal in Canadian whiskey somehow.
In something or another. Yeah, we were kind of discussing that before we went live too. The idea that a lot of these, it's all kind of subject. It's whoever's judging it and what they're feeling at the time. And I think all people that drink whiskey all the time know that they can have one of their favorite drams and then the next day try it, and it doesn't do the same thing for them. So it's kind of like the day of kind of thing is what you get out of it. But also, like with things like Jim Murray's Whiskey Bible, it's all one person's opinion. Not that it's wrong necessarily. It's just one person's opinion.
I don't know if you want to give a quick shout out. You got a super chat over here. I don't know if you can see that on your end.
Oh no.
From Tim.
Oh, nice. Thanks, Tim. I'm learning this stuff, so bear with me. But Tim, man, thank you so much. We gotta cheers you there, bro. Boom. All right. Yeah, we're obviously accepting all super chats for sure. But if you guys are just tuning in, I want to make the announcement again. Saturday, April 14th. We're doing a live stream with Dr. Don, the master blender for Wisers and Lot 40 and the whole Corby's lineup. So definitely tune in for that. It's going to be a very entertaining show. Clementine and I are coming up with some good ideas. If there's anything you guys want us to do, as you may or may not know, we do lots of music on our show, and we're in the process of writing some pretty wicked tunes right now. And I'm thinking we got to do something musical with Dr. Don. That's just, this is my spur of the moment thought towards that, but I've got a little bit of time. I'm sure we could come up with a jam.
I'm sure you could, for sure. Yeah. So Dr. Don is a doctor for good reason. Do you know the story behind that, or? No,
is he he's like a foot doctor?
No, he actually is a whiskey PhD. He has his whiskey PhD or a PhD in the whatever, like the bio whatever. I don't know exactly what the title is, but it has to do with making of whiskey. He did his dissertation on which is why there's the J.P. Weiser's dissertation, which is phenomenal whiskey, by the way.
Yeah, excellent. We don't see that around here, so we'd love to. Maybe we got to trade a sample back and forth, but yeah, we don't get that around here. But imagine like the ladies you would get by saying you're a whiskey doctor. That's awesome.
There's definitely a shirt for that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, doctors in the house.
Yeah. So, good times. But
yeah.
So Clementine and I talk on WhatsApp quite often, and I think he's probably going to be upset that you don't have the sheets, the subscribe sheet. But I mean, also these are mostly your well, they're all your subscribers actually. None of them would be mine.
Well, if anyone from your channel that hasn't seen Trenny and C before, yeah, subscribe. I got this the subscribe sheet around here somewhere.
You should have sent it by mail to me, so I could have used it this time.
Yeah, exactly.
We put a lot of work into that thing, so I thought.
Oh man, hours! I that's like a full 40-hour work week. Yeah. So, what other Wiser's products do you got there? We should maybe finish up this dram. And actually, speaking of that, people, what's everybody drinking tonight? If you got some Canadian whiskey, pull it out. Drink along with us.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I'd like to find out. Tell us what you're drinking.
We do have a lot of Canadians in the chat right now, which is awesome. There are some Americans as well, which is very cool as well. I don't know how much Wiser Corby products are available in the U.S. I don't think Gooderham is available in the U.S. I don't think Pike Creek is available in the U.S. As far as I know, Lot 40 is not available in the U.S., but I could be wrong about that. And I think it's mostly just Wiser stuff. But these guys could correct me in the chat, hopefully. Some of the regulars are in tonight. I don't know if you're cool with me giving a few shout outs to some of our viewers tonight. Oh, you're frozen. Hello? Can you guys still hear me? The chat's still going.
Oh. You're cutting out there, too.
Am I cutting out?
Either way, continue letting us know what you're drinking tonight, because it sounds like Who was it? Was drinking an HP 12. Bourbon Shenanigans is drinking the Jameson's Caskmates, which is fantastic stuff. Jeremy H is drinking Bruichladdich 1990. Providence 20-year-old. That's incredible. That sounds fantastic. Whiskey Throttle. What else we got here? Mark Adams drinking Jim Beam Distiller's Cut. Cool. Is that like Devil's Cut or Distiller's Cut? Anyway, Rob, can you hear me?
I can hear you. I can hear you now. I feel like the more I talk, the more it gets choppy. So I feel like you should do most of the talking. Okay.
Yeah. No, it was. You sounded like. I don't know if you've ever seen Fear and Loathing in Las Vegas when Johnny Depp's character Hunter S. Thompson gets his acid trip for the first time. It's all like digital. That's what you sounded like. It was pretty cool.
Kind of like a few parts of the movie The Scanner Darkly.
Whiskey Throttle says, I'm drinking 20-year-old bourbon from my U.S. brothers. Let's see here. Tim, I might be saying your name wrong. Dietrich, I have bought some Benromic 10 and Deanston 10PX earlier. Wow, those are good ones. Eric Gilbert brings up the fact that he's drinking Cutty Sark Prohibition. That is one of Clementine's least favorite whiskeys of all time, and it is one of for the 50% alcohol, it being a solid blend and got those black pepper kind of notes in there. I think, and being like $35 a bottle. Good on you, Eric. We got to talk C into getting into that one. We might have to re-review it at some point. Yeah. Anyway, so what should we move on to next in our JP Weiser's lineup tonight, Rob?
So I saw that you had the Legacy there, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, you definitely should pour some of that.
Do you have a bottle of this right now?
I do not. I went to the store to buy a couple of bottles, and I ended up buying this and getting sidetracked and buying this, which doesn't really appeal to tonight's, but it's Canadian whiskey at least. It's a Crown Royal Blender Select, only available in Ontario, bottled at 45%.
And have you tried that one yet?
I took a little sample of it just about an hour ago. Really, really good stuff.
Is it? It's I find the Crown Royal to be kind of hit or miss in some of their products, but I guess if you put in the extra bit of money, then they seem to pay off.
Yeah, this one's about 55 Canadian. So it's one of their, I guess, middle of the pack priced whiskeys. But it's got that typical Crown Royal like maple flavor to it, which always gets me wondering if they added some flavoring to it in that like 9.09 whatever, like a maple spirit of some sort. I don't know.
Yeah, well, I guess it's begs the question to find out if they own like a maple tree farm as well, because I've found that with the Crown Royal that it's at times a little too maple syrupy, but you know they put out some good stuff too. Let's I'm gonna pour myself some Weiser's Legacy, which has been discontinued, but I think enough people are kind of complaining because it's such a good deal and such a good whiskey and bottled at 45% alcohol. Sure, it's no age statement, but the stuff is outstanding. I have heard, and I could be wrong about this, that the JP Weiser's Legacy, they are using similar mash bills, or that mash bill for I think it's the lot 40 that they're gonna put out an age statement lot 40. Is that correct? I could have that wrong. People of the internet, look it up right now for me. I cannot remember if that was right.
Lot 40 is 100% rye. So,
oh yeah.
So I don't know if the JP, like the Weiser's Legacy, would be the same mash bill as that, but I think there's a heavy rye content in it because it has that like hard candy kind of flavor to it, which I love about the Legacy. Can you hear me still? So I can't hear you. I'm not sure if you can hear me.
It's hey, the technical. Let's say something towards what you were. I think you were saying what you were talking there, but tasting this Weiser's Legacy now after the triple barrel rye, it's interesting because I'm finding this this Weiser's Legacy to even more of a kind of spicy notes to it, like a little bit more allspice compared to the triple barrel rye.
Yeah. So my guess is
Quite
that
nice.
there's more rye in it. I could be wrong, but that's my guess. Like I would, if I had to gamble, I would say there's a little bit more rye because it's got like a whole bunch of like those spices that you just mentioned, and then it's got that like hard candy kind of flavor to it, like a hard caramel candy or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. So I just got to apologize to the people tuning in. Everyone's saying they've lost Trenny and Trenny is gone. Somebody kidnapped Trenny. And I gotta move my rabbit ears outside. I've got to climb up onto my roof and like light or whatever it is. This is what happens with a 150 internet, whatever that means. I don't know what that means at all. But.
Yeah, the speed should be good. I would assume it's because it's around dinner time, that just after dinner time, where probably in that area. Like, are you on Rogers or are you on Bell?
We're on Shaw.
Okay, so if I'm not mistaken, Shaw is a stream with Rogers, I think.
Yeah.
So basically, what's happening, I think, is that you're sharing the network at a very busy internet time. So even though you have a really fast speed, you're sharing the network with a whole bunch of people that are using it at the same time.
Yeah, this is one of those neighborhoods too, where it's all like all the little cookie cutter houses are very close to each other, and everyone's probably using the internet at the same time. And like when I go onto my Wi-Fi, I have like a list like this of Wi-Fi's to choose from, which means like it's all kind of intermingling and connected. I can guarantee like almost everyone in this neighborhood isn't fertile anymore because of the amount of Wi-Fi going through their genitals.
That's a real life problem right there. I think that's affecting pretty much the entire planet.
Yeah, it's true. And since I carry, this supercomputer beside my crotch all day, it's not good. It's not good.
Actually, what you could do is use the data on your phone to use the chat, shut off the video so you're not draining your data, and then that would open up a little bit more Wi-Fi use in your house, so you wouldn't have to stream your internet through your iPad. That might help a little bit.
Well, I'm gonna do it off of my phone and kind of do what you said, because my iPad, I just shut it off. I think it might get a little bit clearer now. We'll see. Bear with us, people. Sorry about this. In the meantime, Rob, talk about stuff.
All right, cool. So we got a whole bunch of people in the chat. There's about 23 people watching. We got our regulars like Santa Cruz and Chris. We got Rich Loch Ness. We got Daniel Whiskey Throttle. Daniel was on my channel last night. I don't know if you got a chance to catch any of that. Some new names that I haven't seen too much in my own chat. Eric. There's Philip Gonzalez. Moose 76. Now, some of these guys might show up in my chat. It's just I'm very distracted when I'm doing my own lives, so that probably could be the problem. We got My Bourbon Journey, who has an awesome channel himself. We got Bourbon Shenanigans, Jason Fisk, That's Crazy Mike. And a lot of these guys are wondering if you took my old computer, because my lives used to be very similar to what's happening right now. So a lot of them are laughing at the fact that
not only do we share, send samples of whiskey, we send each other our old technology because it's new out here. That makes perfect sense if you ask me.
So Mark Adams joined us. We got Jillian B, Duncan Harmsworth.
Yeah, cool. So what are you going to pour yourself, Rob? Because you got to be done that triple barrel rye. Oh, you poured yourself the Crown Royal. How's that treating you?
It's good stuff, man. Honestly, I like it. It's not like an overpowering whiskey. It's not as good, in my opinion, as the Northern Harvest Rye. I still think, like, despite all the surge for buying a bottle of Crown Royal and Northern Harvest Rye back when that was popular, it's still a great bang for your buck at like $30 for a 45% Canadian whiskey that's 90% rye. I think that's, in my opinion, that's a good deal.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the things when that first kind of came out, because obviously the attention was brought to it by Jim Murray claiming it was the best whiskey in the world, and it flew off the shelves and you couldn't get it. And I remember I bought I think 3 bottles of it, and I was selling. I sold 2 of them for $75 each, just so I could go buy whiskey I really, really liked. And but trying it and opening it the first time, I was like, yeah, it's really good. I wouldn't say it was the best, but the more time you spend with Northern Harvest, especially, you get a lot of different characteristics and a lot of different notes. But I got really, really stuck with one tasting note. And I don't know if that happens for you people out there, where you kind of like, you get a note in your head and every time you smell it and taste it from there on out, you kind of can't get past it. And I was getting that, I got a bubble gum, like the powdery kind of pepperminty bubble gum out of the nose on it. And no one else I talked to felt that way about it, but I could not overlook it for some reason.
I don't know if I picked that up either, to be honest with you. But now that I hear you say that, I'm definitely going to look for it the next time. You might ruin that experience for me for the rest of my life after this, but
yeah. And I don't know if it was necessarily peppermint, but it's like that it's like just like plain gum, like the gum that probably came out in the 50s, just that plain kind of pink sort of gum. That's what I got from it.
I know what you mean, like the double bubble, like solo wrapped ones.
Yeah, it has like, like that powder that's kind of on it. Yeah. That's kind of like what it kind of did for me. Ever since then, every time I try Northern Harvest, you could put it in a lineup of tons of Canadian whiskeys, and then I'll be like, oh, that's definitely Northern Harvest.
Yeah. So I don't know about you, but before I started my channel and before I was into Scotch and bourbon, I was a big Canadian whiskey geek, and I collected it. I bought a ton of it. I tried a ton of it. I tried to basically try every single one that there was. So at one point, I was very well versed with Canadian whiskey. So I was all over. Now the name escapes me, of course, when I'm trying to brag. Oh, 40 Creek.
Yeah. 40 Creek's good. That is a maple syrup bomb to me.
Oh yeah. So they had some really, really good expressions, and then they sold to Cutty, which is an Italian company, and in my opinion, went downhill from there. But these guys are asking now, what's your favorite Canadian whiskey? I have one in mind, but I want to hear what yours is first.
Favorite Canadian whiskey? Oh man. Well, my whiskey, I think it was my runner-up for whiskey of the year was actually Weiser's Union 52. This guy right here. We have an unopened bottle of it because it doesn't exist anymore. And this one just blew my mind. I guess it's maybe a little bit unfair because it's not 100% Canadian. There is some 52-year-old Scotch in there. Yeah. But, you know, that one blew my mind with how good it was.
Yeah, that I had an opportunity to try it because Spencer Gooderham, the Wiser's ambassador for my area, brought it over one night. We did a review on my channel. Really, really good stuff for sure. So you're lucky to have a sealed bottle of that because that stuff will go up in value for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. We there was like 2 bottles left in BC, and we bought one of the 2. So whoever else out there has it, hopefully they've drunk it by now, and it's gotten a little bit more, you know, worthwhile. Not that we're saving it to sell. We'll probably just drink it when, you know, maybe we'll drink it when we're 52 years old. Seems like a good time.
That does sound like a good time. Yeah.
I gotta just one thing. Sorry, you can answer that question, but I'm getting some questions from. Oh no, they just want me to drink from the bottle. Thanks, Whiskey Throttle.
So sometimes if you drink from the bottle, they'll send you a nice fat super chat. So maybe you should go ahead and do that.
Okay, I'm. If we can get a super chat going on here, a fat one, then you know, I've got some cask strength something going on here. It's up to you. I'll give you guys the option. We got some Abelarabana. I might be saying that wrong. And you might not want to watch this, but how about some homemade 52% brandy? Just with an eagle that says "fuck yeah." Anyway, Rob, what's your favorite Canadian whiskey?
So kind of a long-winded answer, but one is something that's spun to me, not a long-winded answer. Basically, it's a JP Wiser's product. It's the old version, the 150th, no, not the 150th anniversary, the JP Wiser's. It came in this wooden box, and I just recently got rid of the bottle and forget what the damn name is. But it was a special edition. I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about. Oh, the Red Letter. That's what it is. And
Red Letter, yes. Okay, I never tried it. Have not tried it.
So they remade the Red Letter after they first released the wooden box version, and for whatever reason, the second release of it was nowhere near as good. But the wooden box version, so the first version of the JP Wiser's Red Letter, was absolutely incredible. So that's probably my favorite Canadian whiskey. After that is probably a tie for Canadian Club 40-year-old and Canadian Club 30-year-old. I also really like the Lot 40 cask strength. And then going back a few years, there was the 40 Creek Special Edition Portwood 2012. That was phenomenal. I don't know if you ever had a chance to try that one, but ridiculous.
Never had a chance. We're kind of like, I started my whiskey journey in general from Scotch, and from Scotch when Clementine was really into bourbon, so I wasn't at that point. So I was here with Scotch, and he was here with bourbon, and we kind of ended up showing each other both of those. And I got really into bourbon, and then we realized that, you know, our country that we live in has so much good whiskey out there, and it's like way cheaper, so might as well get into it. But it's kind of it's a hard market to get into in a way, because there's so many of the regular first expressions that you can get into that are either will turn you off of Canadian whiskey, or if you drive through it, you can find some really, really good ones. Like you say, like some of those Lot 40s, incredible. Some of the 40 Creeks, like the Copper Pot, was really, really good the first time I tried that. So you can find gems. You just have to spend a little bit more money than the $25 a bottle. I just got to say, before I go on here, thank you, Whiskey Throttle. $20 from drink from 2 bottles at Trenny and C and at Whiskey in the Six. So I was suggested to drink some Fireball, which I don't know if you noticed, but it says cinnamon whiskey. Whiskey being the key word there. So I guess according to this bottle, it's whiskey, although it's 33% alcohol, which kind of begs the question of the legality of calling that actually whiskey. But I got some Fireball. What about you, Rob?
I don't have Fireball, but if we're going to drink from the bottle...
I don't know how this has become a thing, by the way, because did it start with me and you doing the stag and the Buna or the Abelauer?
I think it started with Scotty on the Scotch test dummies. To be honest with you, I think.
Oh, okay, cool.
Someone's saying drink the Enoch 1975. I think the Scottish gods would kill me in my sleep if I did that. So I won't do that.
Yeah, absolutely. The Vikings would come to kill you.
You know what I will do? I'll do a whiskey that you guys sent to me that I still haven't reviewed, and I do plan on doing it. It's the Cavalon X Bourbon. I think that's only fitting.
Oh, no. Whoa. Hold on. That is maybe the best thing I've ever tasted in my life.
Really?
It's so fucking good.
So
it might be too much of a waste. It might be too much of a waste.
Okay, so I'm gonna send you some.
Like here we go. I'm drinking Fireball. You know?
All right. I don't know what to do then, but I will find something. How about that? Let's see. Okay. I got it. This is perfect. Okay, so we're talking Canadian whiskey tonight anyway, and I'm sure you know who the Trailer Park Boys are. I think you guys actually reviewed this, didn't you?
I haven't brought myself to buy it yet because I've heard it's the worst. So
yeah, so I think that's pretty fitting to drink from the bottle. Trailer Park Boys. How can I go wrong? I might as well make it Trailer Park.
And they're both Canadian whiskeys as well. And I just got to say, Eric Waite says friends don't let friends drink Fireball. Just so you know.
Well, I'm too far to stop you, so I mean, you do what you got to do, man.
You first. You go ahead.
All right.
Oh.
That's actually not that bad.
No?
That's actually not that bad.
Well, I can tell you I'm not going to be able to properly review any other whiskeys for at least a week after I do this. So my notes may be a little bit off for the next little while, but hey, all in the name of whiskey research. It's
a flavored whiskey, but I mean, it's not that bad. If you like cinnamon hearts, you'll like Fireball.
Well, you know what? I fucking hate cinnamon hearts. So here we go.
So you're shit out of luck then.
Mm-hmm. Woo! It is only 33%. It's not that bad, but you know how the tasting notes are right on the bottle. Red hot. Just gross. Anyway, yeah, so there we go.
Swami is saying that Fireball is a man's drink. So.
And somebody also said that was a girly sip. I don't know if that was towards me or you, but whatever. I really don't care. So I'm pretty sure we got to have some super chats now, don't we? Wasn't that a part of the deal, people? So hey, this is our first live stream. We pretty soon we're gonna start actually getting C involved, because once he gets past his 6 speed internet or whatever, then we'll be able to. We can't hang out all the time because we live in 2 different cities, an hour apart. But we'll be able to maybe do some live streams where it's just hanging out. So.
There's a bunch of people telling me to take my skirt off for that baby swig that I did. But I thought I took a nice mouthful. I don't know. I'm not experienced with taking a mouthful, so perhaps that's why I'm not sure what that's like.
Yeah, there you go. But yeah, either way, I feel like it's like I have the sort of breath that you feel like you could go to work and your boss would be like, oh, you smell like you've brushed your teeth. When in reality, I've just been drinking Fireball. It's pretty good, pretty good con, you know?
I've been looking for a good cinnamon toothpaste. I don't think they exist. Do they still exist?
I think they must, but did you know there's a peated toothpaste. It's like whiskey flavored toothpaste.
No woman will ever kiss you again if you brush your teeth with that stuff.
Oh yeah, you'd be fired from your job instantly, and you would be, womenless for at least till the next time you brush your teeth. Yeah.
Oh man, that's a good time. Yeah, so there was promise. Go ahead.
You didn't just go there. I don't know what that means.
You didn't just go there. Oh, I think they're talking about what I refer to not knowing what it's like to have a mouthful.
Oh, right. Okay, so what do you got in your glass now? Let's maybe move on. Oh, for people just joining us, how can you tell on this thing how many people are watching? By the way,
right now you have 33 people watching, which is a nice number.
So then I'm going to make the announcement one more time. We at Trenny and C are doing a special live stream with Dr. Don from the Wisers Corby's Corporation, or whatever you want to call it, where we have a special live stream. We're going to do some interviews. Any questions you want us to ask the doctor, let us know, because I think that's going to be a pretty fun, pretty entertaining. We have some special treats planned for Dr. Don. I'm really hoping Dr. Don helps us launch our music career, because I think about. And yeah, so tune in Saturday, April 14th, Trenny C. Both of us will be here. Yeah, that's all I got to say.
I'm gonna move on to a local Canadian distillery, a distillery that I'm actually working with to make a whiskey in the six whiskey. I think I told you about these guys.
Nice, yeah, excellent.
So this is a moonshine. This is not technically a whiskey because A, it's not aged for more than a year and a half, and B, they use sugar distillate. So basically it's a whiskey, almost like a whiskey rum mix, but not quite. It's added sugar basically, but it's really good stuff.
So sorry to interrupt, but does that mean they use a grain and then extra sugar so they can get higher outputs of actual whiskey when they distill it?
Kind of like that, I guess. It's just it's the whatever the format is for making a true moonshine, and that's exactly what it is. But it's called Darker Side of the Moonshine, and they're gonna be rebranding this to just Darker Side because they want to move away from the moonshine image, because a lot of people really like this stuff. So I'm gonna take a little bit of that.
Sounds really good. Yeah, that's interesting, because I think if you're making your whiskey with grains, I mean, like moonshine's typically corn, but if they're adding extra sugar to it, then I guess that would probably give their smaller distillations a higher output of actual alcohol at the end of the day. So that's kind of an interesting way to do it. Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah,
and I'm going to try to find something that's in my cupboard behind me here. It may not be local, but it might be a bit different. Let's try.
Cool. And a couple people are asking if that's in the LCBO. Last Straw is in the LCBO, but only in a few locations. So you got to kind of look them up and find out where. But you can go to their actual distillery in Concord and buy pretty much any of their products at the actual distillery. So they're very welcoming, great people. And in about 2 years and 10 months, we will have a whiskey collaborated together that hopefully won't even have to make it to the LCBO, because hopefully it's that good that people will just buy it right away.
You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to switch gears a little bit here. And what we have here is we have on Vancouver Island a ton of craft breweries. Like in Victoria, there's one on every corner probably. There's like 40 or 50 different craft breweries around. But this one from my little town of Duncan, British Columbia, is called Red Arrow. You can always find it because it's got the red cap. But they put out a fantastic beer. And this one is their IPA. It's called Sweet Leaf, named after the Black Sabbath song. And it's not too high in the hoppy contents. It's still got a little bit of that like grapefruit kind of pith taste to it, but it's floral and citrus and still the bitter hops, but really, really, really good. And quite a dark IPA, which is kind of rare because a lot of IPAs and like ISAs, they do the same thing where it's like a lighter, almost blonde style, but a IPA flavor. So yeah, if you guys are in BC watching this, try local brew shop. There, that's all I got to say about that.
They're pretty honest. These craft distilleries or breweries, are popping up everywhere. I don't think it's just in BC. In Ontario, there's probably, I don't know, over 100, I want to say. I might be wrong about that, but it feels like there's at least that many. And there's one near my cottage in Collingwood called North Wind. And I recently tried a milk run coffee stout.
Oh, nice. That would be good. Yeah.
Yeah. And it was phenomenal. It's phenomenal. So.
Hey, I got to say a comment that just made me laugh. And this is from That's Crazy, talking about donating for super chats and stuff like that. It says, I think 25 cents is even a bit too steep for Swami. LOL. So yeah, it's all in good fun, Swami, but that's hilarious.
That's good.
And malted it. Okay, so Swami says, damn, Skippy, I spent $10 on Purple Kush today. Hey, fair enough. It's going to be legal soon enough. Why not?
Swami's been talking about weed all day long.
His wife must be out of town or something.
He's celebrating a promotion or something.
Yeah. So that's good. Cool. So you've got some local distilleries around your area, which is very cool. Here on the island, we are starting to we have this one that is really, really good, but it's the way they're doing it is they're kind of doing it like a Gordon MacPhail, where they do independent bottlings of Scottish whiskey. So they have one that's a blend of, I believe, and I could be wrong, but I think it's a Bunnahabhain and a Coila blend as one bottle. And the tastings, they stood out at all the whiskey fests I've been to in the last little while, and they are called the Caledonian Distillery. But their other side to them is they also make beer, and they're called Twa Dogs, like TWA dogs. Huh. But they make some very, very interesting stuff. So the last beer that I tried was a ex-bourbon barrel, kind of not quite a stout, like lighter than that, but it was really, really, really good. And it's just funny because C and I, we just did a review on the comparison of all the Innis and Gunn beers. And I have to be honest with you, this TWA Twa Dogs bourbon barrel beer was like, it blew it out of the water. I could drink it every day kind of thing.
Yeah, that's how I felt about that coffee stout that I recently tried, and they have another one called, well, it's just it's a black lager, and I forget what that one's called, to be honest with you, but I'm really impressed with those. Like I lean towards darker beers, I think, as a whole, but I'm not impressed with like the fame that Innocent Gun has. I think a lot of these craft breweries are going to give them a run for their money, to be honest with you.
Yeah, oh, for sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. Especially because in Canada, we have like a little bit more room to experiment. There's not so many, like in Scotland, there's so much strict rules, which in a way is a good thing, I think, because it keeps things in balances in check, and they keep putting out fantastic products. However, in Canada, they have the chance to do things like add staves to their barrels, or like Alberta Premium put out Dark Horse, and what do they have, like the 9% of that is actual like literal sherry.
Yeah.
Things like that. So the Canadian whiskey market, if they start making single malts like they obviously are these days, it leaves a lot of room for some pretty cool experiments.
Yeah, true. That's definitely true. I like the fact that the Caledonian Distillery is until they're ready to produce their own 10-year-old whiskey, 12-year-old whiskey, they're sourcing their barrels and gonna independently bottle outsourced whiskey. I think that's a smart way to do it. I think that's probably the safest way to do it, unless you have a brewery, and they actually have both. So they're really smart. I think that's a really good idea.
It's a really good idea, and it also leaves room to experiment with whiskeys that are already, they're good products. Like Coelho's amazing, Bunnahabhain's amazing,
yep.
But it gives them room to kind of do some things that they could not do in Scotland, even with Gordon MacPhail, and they have a little bit more leeway with some of their expressions and different things. But this is like, it's different, and it's tasting good, and I think it's also a big part of BC, especially because we got the coastline and the rocky kind of craggy style ocean spray and all that sort of stuff. It kind of mimics Scotland a little bit.
I think so, yeah. And I think even the temperature, like it doesn't it's not as cold as it is in other parts of Canada, right? So you guys definitely have that in your favor.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, like Scotland, it doesn't get to minus 40 ever. Like, I've never experienced that in my life, yeah. But it's similar, like lots of fog and lots of rain and lots of, ocean swells of different fronts coming in. And I think that leaves a lot of room for these distilleries to, like Jefferson's Bourbon do a bourbon where they put the barrels on a ship and they take it out to sea for however many months. That's kind of, you can do that just by putting your distillery, or at least your storage warehouses, right by the ocean, which it adds some different characteristics.
Absolutely. Yeah, that's one of the very interesting features to island or coastal Scotch, right? Like that salty brininess. Even if it's not peated, that's something that Canadian whiskeys could definitely mimic. And what really shocks me is, have you ever tried anything by Glen Breton?
So I've just tried it recently at the last Whiskey Fest, but I've always been hesitant to buy it because it's still over $100 a bottle over here. And I know it's like the first Canadian single malt, and you got to pay your respects to that. But I find myself hesitant to put out that kind of money. But I did try a little bit of it at the Whiskey Fest, and it was my taste buds might have been burnt out by then, but it was good.
Yeah. Like it's kind of a shame. Like I've tried their 12-year-old ice wine finished whiskey, and I thought it was really good for what you were getting. I feel like it was reasonably priced at around, like, I think $80 at the time. It didn't last long at the LCBO. There was only about 2 or 3 cases of it, but in general, it should be priced way better than it is, and it should be way easier to get than it is in Canada, and it's not very easy to get at all, which they're doing themselves a disservice. I don't know if it's just because they want to remain small and they don't really care. But that's what it kind of feels like.
It feels like that, but it's funny, and you know, they're still these people are still businesses, and they got to get their name out there and actually get their product sold off. You know, I guess some of these it's like some of these breweries. They, as soon as they start to get really popular, it's a bit of a disservice to them because they don't actually have the actual capacity to make the amount that they would like to. So it's kind of comes full circle. You want that to happen, but you also need it to happen so you can grow, but you can't grow unless it happens.
Yeah.
I don't know if that makes any sense.
It makes absolute sense. And what kills me about these guys is that they have the product in stock. Like, they have a 25-year-old that was released a few years ago. They have aged single malt. So, like, I don't know what's holding them back from taking it to the next level. Like, if they had the right people in place, they would be experimenting with the right kind of barrels to bring their product to the next level. They would be like marketing with the right kind of people to get the exposure they need. And they're not doing any of these things. And it's really upsetting because they have the age, which is what all of these Canadian distilleries are lacking in single malts. You know, like all these new small batch distilleries are just waiting for the day where they can release a 10-year-old whiskey. Well, these guys have 30-year-old whiskey in stock and they're not doing it properly. You know what I mean? Like, it's just.
So what's the holdup? Like 30-year-old whiskey, it gets to the point when it's at that age, like it could just start getting not as good. You know, like.
Well, absolutely.
Why not release
it? It doesn't make any sense, and I don't have the answer for you because I don't like to get a hold of them is harder than actually speaking to the Pope. So. Really, I don't know. I couldn't tell you because I've sent them in the last 2.5 years several emails and I've never gotten a response.
Speaking of that, I bet the Pope is pretty into whiskey. Like this new Pope, he's definitely into whiskey.
I think you would have to be like. Can you imagine the stress about being like the holiest man in the world? Like you kind of have to be like a little bit of an alcoholic to cope with that.
Oh, totally. I mean. Like right before he comes out in front of hundreds upon thousands of people, he definitely has like a good shot of Ardbeg or something.
Sure, like cask strength committee release something.
Yeah. The the single, he has a single cask in his bedroom. I guarantee it.
Oh, for sure. Premium stuff.
So it seems like. We have got to the point where our internet connection is far superior now. It's way better than it was in the first half of the program. But and I think that's all because of you, Rob, because I turned off my Wi-Fi on all of my other devices.
Well, you know what, man? I'm here to help.
Yeah. I never knew you were like a technology whiz, but hey, here we are.
You know what? I'm really not. I think my wife is actually sitting in the background here, and she's laughing because she knows that I'm as far from a tech guy as possible. Like, I came back from teaching a kickboxing class. I'm like as far from techie as possible, but it just made sense. I think that was just shutting off other devices. If you're not on Bell 5, that made sense to me. So,
hey, I just got a text from C. And he has a question for you, Rob. And it's not really whiskey related, but it says, ask Rob if he has sleep trained his baby, because my house is a shit show right now.
It's funny because Clementine has...
Okay, I got to interrupt you for a sec. Have you seen the show Last Man on Earth?
I've seen the first like 6 episodes or something like that.
Okay, well, I don't want to give too many spoilers, but there's a point where it turns out his name is not his name. And, like, they go so quickly into just calling him Tandy, which is his name, that it's like they don't miss a beat. And that's what I love about this Clementine thing. It's like right away, so how's Clementine tonight? Yeah, it's great. Go on with the sleep training.
So, basically, my daughter is a dream child, knock on wood. She basically didn't even need sleep training. My wife just finishes feeding her and puts her down, and then she's out for the night. or at least until a time where I'm too tired to actually realize that she's crying. But and then my wife takes care of that. But my son, and it's like I was about to say, Clementine and I have 2 children, and they're both like within a month or 2 apart, both of them. So my son, same idea, but he was a little bit harder. He was a lot harder actually, and I remember Clementine and I complaining about it at the exact same time because we were pretty sleep deprived, starting the channel around the same time as the baby's being born, and it was interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, well, I've been kind of like the third wheel in all this. Actually, technically like the 4th or 5th wheel, because I go to the Clementine's house and like it's him and his wife and then their newborn, well, their son who's like 2, and then their newborn child. So I'm the 5th wheel. I just come over, and once the shit has settled, we can start like doing some whiskey reviews. Real serious business whiskey reviews.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So I got a question for you, and this is kind of random, but I always feel the pressure whenever I'm recording 2 or more reviews in one night. I feel the need to like change my shirt so that people don't think I wear the same thing every day. Do you guys do that, or am I alone there?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I bring my backpack filled with different clothes, so it's like I always have a different shirt, or I'll take off my hat or whatever. And, but I got to admit, we've become kind of lazier with it, and it's like there will be times where it's like, see, Clementine will have like a different kind of plaid jacket on, and I'll have a different plaid jacket. I'm like, well, let's just switch for this video, and then it's fine. It's like a completely different day.
That's awesome. That's awesome.
Yeah. And have you also found when you do more than one video in a night that like, well, not even, just always. I always feel like our videos like really suck until we come back on it and watch. We're like, oh, that's not that bad, really. Like it's the creative process. It's like it starts out as, this is awesome. This needs improvement. Oh my God, this sucks. This is terrible. And then the final thing is like, this is awesome.
Yeah, I used to like really struggle with posting my videos because I knew that they were awful in my head. Hold on, I gotta fix this. Slowly running out of battery here. I knew they were awful, but I kind of just figured I have to get something out there anyway, so I would just post it. And then I didn't know how to edit, and I didn't know how to do anything properly.
Yeah, we find we never really switch shirts during mid like reviews. It just kind of happens. I don't
know. So I literally just learned how to edit probably about, I don't know, maybe 3 months ago, something like that. Just learned how to do like thumbnails. I realized the importance of thumbnails when I released my Whiskey of the Year video that and Roy, Aquavite Roy, made me a thumbnail for that video. And I put it up there, and I was like, it caught fire. Like it went like to like, I don't know, it's at like 12,000 views in only a couple months, which is for me really good. I know you guys have a couple videos that are like 60,000 and 40,000 or something like that, which is ridiculous in my opinion. But
some of our videos we really lucked out on because of just I don't really actually know. Clementine does pretty much all that stuff, and we've also really discovered the editing thing lately too, with being able to focus in. I don't know. For example, like have the people out there that watch us seen our like begging for money video where it's like Sarah McLachlan style SPCA kind of video?
Yeah.
That's like the highlight of our editing career.
Now you guys are doing, and the thing is like you guys are hilarious, so it definitely helps. Like I'm here and I'm by myself, and it's like, I don't know, I'm obviously it's impossible to be funny by yourself, and I'm not obviously nearly as funny as you guys to begin with. So, yeah, you guys definitely have that humor element that I'll never get in my life. But that editing was bang on that one.
Well, I think one thing, like within like the whiskey tubers, and this was brought up kind of recently, but I think everyone brings something different to the table, and I think that's really important because otherwise we're just a bunch of fucking middle-aged dudes drinking whiskey on TV, basically, and that's boring. Nobody wants that. Like any idiot can be like, "Oh, yeah, it smells like raisins." Who gives a shit? Like you can pick anything you want; it doesn't matter. But as long as everyone kind of has their own unique sort of play on what they want to do, like for Trenny and C, we really like to do the things like viewer comments and like the Drinko Plinko and making music videos and writing songs, and that keeps it really fun. And you're right, because being a solo whiskey reviewer, I think would be much harder because you have to come up with all the ideas by yourself and you don't have anyone to bounce those ideas off of. Where like, so Trenny and C, we do our traditional like Thursday reviews, Saturdays are unboxings, and Tuesdays are whiskey talks. And the idea of whiskey talks came from just Clementine and I talking on the phone and just going on rants about random shit and being like, fuck, we should probably actually make this into a video. Because in reality, like, I don't know why people tune into us. It can't just be because we talk about whiskey. I think it's probably because there's a little bit of it. We try to make it a little bit different and a little bit more,
well,
a little bit fun.
You guys are super entertaining, in my opinion. Like, that's when I started watching you guys, and I was like, man, these guys are funny. They're engaging. Like, they're reviewing whiskey, but they're awesome to watch, and they make the time go by fast, which is not something like, I don't know about you, but I started watching Ralphie back in the day, and God bless his soul, he's the pioneer for all of us. But
he's the Pope. He is the Pope.
Yeah, exactly. But I would watch like the first minute, fast forward all the way to the end till he marked the whiskey, and then just see what the mark was, and that was it. Like, I didn't really care about all the spiel in between. And I'm not saying he's not entertaining. It's just, unless I really cared about that particular whiskey, I just wanted to know how good it was, so I knew what my next purchase was, kind of thing, right? So
I agree, and to be honest, and I'm sure a lot of people out there, especially like whiskey tubers, you gotta pay your respects to Ralphie. That guy, he brought it. He's the godfather of whiskey reviews. And but the thing with him that's amazing is, even if you're not interested in everything he has to say, because some of his videos are like half an hour long and whatever, he still definitely has the experience. He definitely has the knowledge, and he definitely has really good like tasting notes that you don't discover until you hear him say it.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't know if that makes sense.
Oh yeah, no. I mean, he's got what, like 750 reviews now. Like, he definitely has experience with whiskey, and like even just tasting. Like I counted the other day, I have maybe 10 non-whiskey review or 20 non-whiskey review videos altogether out of 200, and I think it's 240 now. So that means I tried 220 whiskeys recently in the last 2 years. So like, we're all gaining experience and learning quite a bit. So this guy's done it for 700 and whatever amount of times. Like, yeah, he knows what he's talking about for sure. You know what I mean? Like, he definitely knows what he's talking about.
Absolutely. And I think that brings up actually a really good point, is the fact that there's a certain level of, I think one of the reasons Trenny and C is the way we are is because we want to stay away from pretending we know everything, because the whole thing is that every one of us is on this journey, learning everything stuff that you didn't think you knew, about whiskey or about beverages or whatever the passion might be. But none of us are actual experts. And as soon as you become an expert, I think that's when life gets boring, because if you think you know everything, then chances are it's not fun for yourself anymore. And we openly admit, as you do and other people do, that it's a learning experience. And I mean, half of the whiskeys tonight you've talked about I've never tried. You know, but the same kind of goes for everyone. You know, there's a lot of people in the United States that cannot try Canadian whiskey, and they are jealous of it. It's like the one man's trash is another man's gold kind of idea. Absolutely. Like I would love to try some of these kind of obscure bourbons, but we just don't get them around here.
Yeah. And you're definitely a victim of your geographic location. You know what I mean? Like, being in Ontario, being in BC, we're only able to get so much. So, I mean, if you lived in Scotland, every Scotch is like at your beck and call. You know what I mean? Whereas, you know, we don't get nearly as much as them. We don't know what 50% of the whiskeys that are available in Scotland. You know what I mean? There's distilleries that I've
absolutely. I think, and that's a really good point, because I went to Scotland in 2013 and took a course on distillation and the whole production. It was a whiskey school, basically. But when we stepped off the airplane and got into the Heathrow Airport or whatever, you get there and there's like booths set up throughout the entire airport of tons of different Scotch. And it was like a kid in a candy store for me. It was like there was a Bunnahabhain peated version, and the PX Cask Lafroig, and all these things that I had never tried before. And that was just at the airport. You know, then you actually go to a pub, and when you order a whiskey, you get your whiskey. They don't offer you ice. They don't offer you water. It's just you get your whiskey, and like, you got to suck it up if you want ice cubes, because that's not going to happen. But the other thing that comes with it is, okay, what's your pint? And so you get a whiskey and a pint, and like things like that. Anyway, I'm ranting and rambling, but I loved that.
That's I don't know. Honestly, I'm right there with you, man. Like, it's crazy. And that their knowledge, their experience is something that, like, one of the guys that often follows all of us always says, that guy knows more about whiskey, or he's forgotten more about whiskey than I'll ever know in my life. You know what I mean? So that's how I feel about many of the Scottish.
That's a really good point. Okay, so I gotta interject here. Clementine has been texting me, and he has some questions for the people. So we're gonna ask these questions. We'll try to, answer some of them and whatever, and then we'll probably wrap it up relatively quick here. But I got a few. So the first one is, why do people want to see us live stream? Who do people want to see us live stream with next from the whiskey community? The second question is, what is your favorite Trenny and C episode or moment? Third is, do people realize that YouTube is killing Trenny and C? Let me re-say that. Do people realize that the YouTube is killing Trenny and C video is based on a Sarah McLachlan SPCA ad? I don't think a lot of people get that, because that was a Canadian or a British Columbia thing that was happening for a while. And then the last couple are, would you be interested in seeing us do some whiskey music videos? And if you're not interested, too damn bad. And then ask them if we should bring Drinko Plinko back. I don't know if you guys watch the Drinko Plinko, but it's always a lot of fun, because what we do is you drop the ball in, it bounces, and we have a bunch of different whiskeys lined up. Some really shitty ones, some really good ones, some not even Southern Comfort or something. And then it lands, and then we mix it together as a dram. It's always fun. Yeah.
Sounds fun. So
it doesn't taste very good, but
I'm looking at the chat, and I don't really notice too many people answering those questions just yet. Swami's making fun of somebody because he feels that person is chubby.
Hey, you're looking at Chubby right here, Swami.
The Malted Man Cave said, "What's up, beautiful to you?"
Oh, okay. Well, thanks.
Keith is a good guy, man. He's one of the YouTube whiskey tubers. Good guy. The Malted Man Cave.
Hey, so I got to ask before we wrap this up. Let's pour another dram because I think the last thing what was the last thing you drank? Was it the Trailer Park Boys out of the bottle? We should probably pour ourselves a proper dram here.
It's it was the Last Straw Moonshine.
Oh, right. Yeah. Okay, so let's end something off on a bit of a different note. We've done lots of Canadian stuff tonight, which, by the way, people, Wiser's, Dr. Don, Saturday, April 14th. Tune in, live stream. We got some treats for you that night. Anyways, let's do some scotch. Let's do some scotch.
You want to do scotch?
Yeah.
All right. What are you doing? I'm gonna go to the one that I was dipping into last night. It's this Highland Park full volume that I'm falling in love with. It's ridiculously good stuff. I don't know if it was available there. It's only $130 here, and it's 17 years old, bottled at 47.2%.
Very cool. Very cool. I've never seen that one. What's the full volume? Is it amps to 11?
Yeah. So it's volume to 11, which I don't know what volume stands for, but fruit to 8, vanilla to 9, bourbon whiskey. So it's entirely bourbon aged whiskey, which is to 10, and then peat to 3.
So does it say something to 11 on there?
It does, volume. Like it's
so do you have that reference?
I don't know.
Okay, so the volume to 11, the reference is Spinal Tap, the movie Spinal Tap. If you people haven't seen it, it's so fucking funny. So there's a scene in it where one of the main characters is like, I got my amp switched up to, so now it goes to 11. He's like, and the guy interviewing is like, well, why didn't you just make 10 the loudest? It's like, because it goes to 11. And that's his answer.
And that's it right there. That's the volume.
Oh, yeah. So if you haven't seen it, Rob, like, it's a fucking hilarious movie. It's kind of like a mockumentary on a band that is touring and they're not famous anymore, but they think they're pretty awesome. Okay, I've got myself the, since you're doing Highland Park, I'll do the Highland Park Valkyrie.
Nice.
It's 45.9% alcohol. I'm not a big fan of the black bottle because I have no idea how much is left in here. But was it you that showed me that you can twist or? Oh, yeah. Nice.
Yeah, that was the theme with the newer releases.
Did you notice does your bottle have the where you can pop the top, but you can also screw it on?
No, this one doesn't have that, I don't think. Or maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it does. Actually, you are right, my friend. I never discovered that.
Isn't that cool, hey?
Look at you. You're just a wealth of knowledge, Trenny. I called you T. At risk of almost calling you by your real name.
And that is really tight on
Well, you so, cut out there. I missed that.
It is one of my. I said I like to end the night on a Highland Park because it is one of my favorite distilleries.
Yeah.
The last live stream I did was with Swami, and he asked what my favorite top 5 distilleries were. So I'm going to pass that question on to you. What's your top 5?
My top 5 distilleries? Is that what you said?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hold on, my phone is letting me know that I have 10% battery left, so it's good that we're wrapping this up.
Perfect.
I would say it's not in any particular order, but Glenn Goyne definitely has to be there. Glenn Dronick is up there. Brooke Laddie's up there. McAllen is up there. I'm going to have to say that recent experience with Springbank has made them definitely they put themselves in that top 5. And if I didn't mention Highland Park, I'd be lying, because I really like Highland Park as well. So some of the sleepers, Deanston's really working its way up into the top 5. But yeah, you know what? Like, I think if I had to pick my favorite, it's got to be Glen Goyne, just because they're I don't know, they're just kicking ass in my opinion. So
yeah, good, and that's very cool, because I've only ever tried one Glen Goyne in my life, and it was in Scotland in 2013. So it was such a long time ago. We just don't get it out here. Like in BC, you never see Glen Goyne anywhere. But that's very cool. I'd like to try some for sure.
So what's yours?
I think for myself, it always obviously changes. It's like your favorite, I don't know, favorite song. Like, yeah. Or favorite album or whatever. It's just always changes. But I think, like, I always say, like, Radiohead is always my number 2 for music, because they're kind of my number 1, but something always will replace it for like a week or 2. Yeah. So I'm going to say that in the same vein that Highland Park is always like my number 2. I don't know if that, if there's any real particular order, but Highland Park, probably Springbank, probably like going away from Scotch, but like the Buffalo Trace line of everything that they put out is fucking amazingly good. Glen Dronick is probably in there. I've had some incredibly good Glen Farklesses, but not all of their regular ones are amazing. I don't know. That 5th one is too hard. That's the one that will always change, I think.
Yeah, it's. I don't know. I think I've been asked that question probably 4 or 5 times in the last 6 months, and I've given a different answer every single time. So I don't know. It's so hard to. It's always about what you're drinking. Like I always say, people have short memories, and we only remember what things are doing for us right now. You know what I mean? Like we forget all the things that things did for us in the past, but what are they doing for you lately? Yeah. So
yeah, it's true, but it's one of those things too that. Because we are all learning all the time, especially in this whiskey journey, that what you thought you loved 5 years ago, and you go back to it, doesn't have anything on what you love now. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay, so I'm gonna just wrap this up. Thank you everybody for joining us tonight. This is the first live Trenny and C stream. Obviously, when C comes around, it'll be a bit more different dynamics there. But thank you for joining us again. April 14th, we are with Dr. Don, and we are going to have some pretty exciting things. I think that's going to be 7 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We will be plastering Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all that stuff. So stay tuned. Hopefully you tune in. Any of Rob's followers that are watching tonight that have not subscribed, please subscribe to Trenny and C. I can guarantee you'll have at least one laugh or 2 during the show. And again, Rob, thank you for being the first Trenny and C live stream guest. It was amazing.
I wonder if Clementine's going to be upset that I was on his live streams before he was.
He's probably cursing your name right now.
Yeah, I think so. Honestly, thank you so much for having me, man. I really appreciate it, and it's been a blast. I definitely am going to have you on my channel a bunch more times in the next little while, because I don't like doing my lives by myself. I get very bored, so I'm going to need somebody to talk to. So I'll definitely invite you to a whole bunch more, and you'll have an opportunity to rock that sheet of paper in the future.
Hold on. 1 sec. Keep talking.
All right. Well, If you guys haven't already, first of all, like I said, thank you to Trenny and C for having me. But if you would like, you can go over to my channel, which is called Whiskey in the Six, and subscribe. That'd be great. But check out that sign right there because it's money.
And if you haven't already, subscribe to Trenny and C. It's really, really easy. Apparently, all you do is you go up and click like a button, and it's really simple. It's like takes 5 seconds. But Rob, thank you again so much, and we will be obviously doing way more live streams in the future. So, cheers to everybody that tuned in tonight, and hopefully we see you guys again on April 14th. So, cheers.
Cheers, guys.